It's party time. When is the last time something really good happened to you? I mean, off the charts good. When is the last time? How many of you can think of something? Nothing? Nobody's had anything really good happen to them? Come on, there's got to be somebody. Who's had something very good happen to you? He punches him like nothing good's ever happened to you. You're afraid if you hold your hand, I'm going to make you speak in class, aren't you? Okay, I understand. Well, something very good happens to me all the time. In fact, something extremely good is happening to my wife and I this week. Our granddaughter is coming to see us. All the way from Oklahoma. She's bringing her parents too, right? Yes, that's right. My son and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter's coming to see us. She's 5 years old and she's never been to our house. This is her first trip. And we're going to go to Disneyland if I can afford it. And you know what we're doing to celebrate? We're having our family over. We're having our neighbors over. And we're going to not kill the fatted calf, but we're going to barbecue Costco hamburgers. Isn't that the natural thing to do when something good happens to you? Is that you bring your friends over and you celebrate. In this story, there was a shepherd. He had 100 sheep. And when he did his daily count, he noticed that one of them was missing. And so he left the 99 sheep behind. And he went out and he searched until he found that lamb, that sheep. And he brought that sheep home. And when he found that sheep, what did he do? He threw a party and he celebrated. I want you to notice the pattern here. The sheep was lost, then it was found, which was reason to party. Notice the pattern. Something was lost, then it was found, then there was a party. Lost, found, party. And then Jesus tells a second story. This time it's not a shepherd and it's not an animal. It's a woman. And she has 10 silver coins, each one of them worth 1 day's wage. She had 10 of them. She lost one of those coins and she couldn't find it. And so she swept the house from top to bottom. And she looked and she looked and she looked until she found that lost coin. And what did she do when she found it? She called in her neighbors, her women friends. And she had them come in and she threw a party. Likely, I don't know, but likely the party cost more than the coin was worth. But nevertheless, something was lost, then it was found, it was time for partying. The coin was lost, then it was found, which was time for party. Does that sound like the other pattern? The sheep was lost, then it was found, it was time to party. The coin was lost, then it was found, which was reason to party. And now we come to the third story that Jesus tells right in a row. This time it wasn't an animal and it wasn't a coin. It was a son that was lost. Jesus raises the stakes. The younger boy comes to his father. And in essence he says to him, "Dad, I wish you were dead." Now, I know that's not in the text, but isn't that what he's saying? He's saying, I want what's coming to me when you die. I want my inheritance, and I want it now. In the ancient Near East, it was customary for the older son to get twice the inheritance of the other children. That means this boy would get 1/3 of everything his father had. Now, there's a lot of mysteries in the Bible that I do not understand. This is one of them. I don't know what father in his right mind would have given his boy 1/3 of all the assets he had. I don't know. I think I would just tell my son to go to his room. The truth is, I'm not sure I have any assets with the housing market the way they've gone. And I'd be glad to give either one of my children 1/3 or 2/3 of my debt. How about you? But the father did. which probably meant he had to liquidate something. He had to sell something to come up with the money. The father gave the boy the money, and the boy left. He got what he wished. He got his father's wealth and didn't have to spend any time with his dad, who, by the way, probably didn't know anything anyway, right? And the Bible tells us he goes off in a foreign land and he wastes his money. We don't know what he did with it. I've heard many pastors speculate what he did with it. I'll just be quiet because the Scripture is quiet at that point. Suffice it to say, it went through his hands like water through your fingers. It was gone. And just as soon as it was gone, a big recession hit. There was a great famine. And it's not just that he didn't have any money. No one did. And he hired himself out to work for a farmer. And the farmer gave him the assignment of taking care of the pigs. Now, if you're a Bible scholar, then you know that Jewish people don't have anything to do with pigs. And this was a horrible assignment for a Jewish boy in a foreign land. It was a reminder every day that he had left his family and he had left his heritage. And besides that, besides the shame that came with the job assignment he had, it was inadequate. It was not enough to take care of his needs. He looked in the pig trough and envied the pigs. He wanted to eat what the pigs were eating. Now, I know that we live in a very urban area, and likely many of you have never raised pigs. Am I right? Is there any hog farmer among us? Well, actually, there is one. I grew up in West Texas. And when I was in high school, my family took care of 100 hogs. And that was a project I did for Future Farmers in America, my brother too. And it was part of the way that we put food on the table. And so I know a little bit about the way pigs smell. They do not smell very good. I remember one occasion when the rainy season came, and you know enough pigs to know the way their feet are. You know, they're not flat, but they're... And when it rains and they walk around in their pig pen and the water's coming, it just makes slosh. And you have to put on rubber boots to go into the pig pen when it's in that state. And then with their snout, they get the muck on it and they go in to eat the food and it'll get mixed with the muck, and before long the feeders clog. And it was my job on rainy days to unclog the feeder. And one day I decided that instead of slogging through the muck to get to the feeder, that I was going to walk along the top of the fence to get over to where the feeder was. And then I wouldn't have to get dirty. It didn't work out real well. I fell off of the fence, face down into the muck. And then I slogged over to where their feeder was, and I got a stick and I cleaned it out, and I looked at my father, who was laughing, and I said to him, "Now, Daddy, I know what the prodigal son must have felt like." Let me tell you this, as many hours as I've spent in the pig pen, and as often as I've looked into their food trough, never have I wanted to fight the pigs for their food. But this boy was in such a shape that he wished he could eat the pig slop. He was in trouble. And then he remembered his father's grace. And he said, "The hired hands are treated better than this at my father's house." He came to his senses. And he started his long journey home.